Gaudette, a resident of the town of Harpswell, you are hereby required in the name of the state of Maine to notify and warn the inhabitants of the town of Harpswell qualified to vote in town affairs to assemble at the Harpswell Community School, Harpswell, Maine, on Saturday, the 15th day of June, 2024 at 10 a.m. of said day, to act on articles and all articles that follow. We will now go to Article 1. Article 1, to choose a moderator to preside at said meeting. Are there any nominations for moderator? Is it seconded? Gregory M. has been nominated for moderator. It has been moved and seconded. Are there any other nominations for moderator? Nominations cease. We will now ballot for moderator. Will all those come forward with written ballots for moderator? For Greg M. I declare Greg M. moderator of this meeting.
Yes, I am.
Do you, Greg M., swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and of this state so long as you shall continue a citizen thereof?
I do.
Do you swear that you will faithfully discharge to the best of your abilities the duties incumbent upon you as moderator of this meeting according to the Constitution and laws of the state?
I do.
Oh, they're already done. Yeah, okay. Ready to do.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you everyone for having me, and thank you for showing up and participating in this special town meeting. My first order of business is to make sure the ballot clerks are sworn in, and I'll just represent to the meeting that before the meeting, the town clerk swore them in, and they took an oath similar to mine. If there's any objection to us doing that ahead of time, I'm happy to swear them in again, but so if there's no objection, we'll just consider them sworn in. Okay, seeing none, we'll consider them sworn in. I'm going to stop. I'm going to say we bypass the Pledge of Allegiance. So why don't we stand and for the pledge? I think there's flags over there. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so now I'll move on to procedural rules for this evening. This morning. I'm going to use the Maine Moderator's Manual as a guide. Is there any objection to using those? That's the set of rules that I think most moderators use for town meetings throughout the state. Is there any objection to using those rules for procedures? Okay, seeing none, we'll do that. By law, person who's not registered to vote within the town is not permitted to speak at the meeting without consent of 2/3 of the voters present. However, we do have some folks here who are not registered voters of the town who may be needed to provide information or answer questions about these warrant articles. So I'm going to ask for the consent of the meeting to allow these folks to speak. This is not to allow them to speak for or against anything. If they wanted to do that, we'd take that up separately at the time. But we have Mark Ironman, the town planner, and Sue Baker. She's participating remotely. She's the state floodplain coordinator. So any objection to allowing these non-voters to address the meeting just to provide information and answer questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll do that. Just brief, I'm not going to go over too many procedural things, but for those of you who aren't familiar with the town meeting procedures, our agenda is the warrant that was available on this table up front. These articles we're going to go through, and I'll read each article in turn. I'll look for a motion and a second, and then I'll open up the floor for discussion. I think the practice here is we'll look for comments from the select board and the administrators, and then we'll open up the floor to the public. If you want to speak, please use this microphone that's in the center of the room, just because it's being recorded, and to be heard on the cable access channel, use the microphones. You don't need to use the microphone for a simple motion or a second. Let's see, when I recognize you, state your name. Let's keep all remarks relevant to the motion that's on the floor, and we'll keep them to about 3 minutes. I'm not going to say much more about procedure, but I'll arm you with one tool, really, if you will. Sometimes discussion at town meetings can go on for a while. I don't have the power to stop discussion and call for a vote, but you do. So you can do so by, the motion is to call the question or move the question. There are no magic words. You can just say, I'd like to stop talking about this and vote. It's an extraordinary motion, so it requires a 2/3 vote. Okay, just keep that in your pocket. We're going to vote. Did people, oh, we got colored cards when you checked in with your clerk. If you haven't checked in with the clerk to get your colored card, please do so. We're going to vote, I think, mostly by show of cards. I'll declare the results and we'll move on to the next article. Okay? So, okay, so let's launch into the warrants, starting with Article 2. Shall an ordinance entitled Floodplain Management Ordinance for the town of Harpswell, Maine be enacted with a date of applicability June 20, 2024? This is recommended by the select board. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Okay, so Article 2 has been moved and seconded, so I'm going to look, see if there are any comments from the select board? Nope. Administration?
I have can you hear me? Is that loud enough? Okay. So I'm going to provide a little context as to how we got to this point. I'm the town administrator. My name is Christy Ayana. Congress created the National Flood Insurance Program in 1968, and it's basically a subsidized flood insurance program for people who have federally backed mortgages in a flood zone. Harpswell joined in 1975, so we're approaching 49 years in the program. For a number of years, FEMA has been working on updating the floodplain maps that apply to Harpswell. It's been going on for at least 15 years. We currently rely on some very outdated floodplain maps from the 1986 time period. The new maps will be digitized. They'll be easier for our staff to use, easier for the public to follow. We have encouraged people over the last several months to look at the maps, which are here today, but they've been at the town office and online to see what happens to your property. If it moves from one zone to another, what does that mean to you? We have invited Sue Baker here today. She's on the screen. She's the director of the state's floodplain management program. We've been working with Sue to identify some of the issues in the language in the proposed ordinance that people objected to at our public hearings. And I'm going to ask Mark Ironman, our planner, to speak to that in a few minutes. But again, I wanted to provide this background to folks that we've been working on this issue for a number of years. We hired a consultant in 2017 when FEMA was proposing new maps because we disagreed with what FEMA was proposing. They were going to put a lot more property owners in flood zones in Harpswell. So we, along with some other communities, hired a consultant. We appealed those maps. There was a conversion error in our maps when they were presented to FEMA, and they rejected the maps. However, we worked with our legal counsel and the city of Portland, the towns of Kennebunkport, Kittery, and Harpswell we all shared legal counsel to work with FEMA to come up with a way that our revisions could be accepted by FEMA. And FEMA essentially said, adopt the new maps by June 20th, and on the next day, we will accept the revisions that Harpswell presented to us. So that's the situation we're in. That's an overview. I will turn it over to Mark Ironman, our planner, to just talk a bit about the comments that came up at the public hearings that Harpswell held and some of the changes that FEMA and the state were willing to make in the Harpswell ordinance.
Thank you. Mr. Ironman?
Good morning. I'm Mark Ironman, the town planner. I am not a resident of the town, but you have authorized me to speak. The planning... Hello, hello.
Can you be a little closer to the mic?
Hello, hello. The planning board, in its capacity of holding public hearings on ordinance amendments, conducted a public hearing on the proposed ordinance. I guess it's about 6 weeks ago now. At that meeting, there was a number of comments from the public about the proposed ordinance and some specific provisions in it that were raised primarily by the fishing community. And following the public hearing, the staff worked with the state office and with the Boston office of FEMA through the state office to consider possible revisions to the ordinance. And the net result was that they agreed to make some changes to the proposed ordinance, and they declined to make other changes to the ordinance. The most significant change that's included in the draft that you have before you today eliminates the requirement that a professional engineer design or oversee certain wharves in certain areas of the community, and it allows those wharves to be designed or overseen by a qualified professional, that it has been agreed that that includes the traditional wharf building firms in the community.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion or questions about Article 2? Give it another beat here. Okay. Oh, sir. Just moving seats. All right. So, seeing no more discussion, we're going to vote on Article 1 again by show of the color. Article 2, show of colored cards. All those in favor of adopting Article 2, raise your cards. Thank you. Opposed? Okay, so Article 2 passes as written. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to authorize the select board to enter into a multi-year lease of not more than 25 years with Francis M. Bickrest and or his authorized family representatives for the use of town property on or adjacent to Holbrook Street for the operation of a replacement commercial wharf on terms and conditions that the select board deems to be in the best interest of the town. This is recommended by the select board. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, so Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Any comments from the select board? Okay, administration?
I just wanted to mention that we became aware of this a couple of months ago. Mr. Bickrest has had a commercial dock at the town landing at Holbrook Street for a number of years. We looked in our files and we could not find that there was a lease agreement between the town of Harpswell and Mr. Bickrest. So he is looking to replace this commercial dock that he has used for a number of years. He previously had permission of the town, but it was never in the form of a lease agreement. So we have had discussions with Mr. Bickrest. We are working out the details of the lease, and we're available to answer questions that the public might have. I don't know if Mr. Bickrest would like to make any comment.
Okay. Is there any other comments or questions about Article 3? Okay. Okay. Yes, sir. If you don't mind saying your name.
Paul Grosso, Cundy's Harbor. My family owns 3 of the properties adjacent to that. Frankie's had that wharf since I was a kid. I'm old, so I think it should further be stated that there shouldn't be any fees associated with that wharf if the town decides that there needs to be a lease. That should go forever, and there should never ever be any. Like I said, my family owns 3 of the properties that actually are the closest in proximity to where it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 3? Okay, seeing none, we're voting on Article 3. All those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 3 passes as written. Article 4. Shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Site Plan Review Ordinance regarding inspection assistance for the Code Enforcement Office be enacted? This is recommended by the Select Board. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, Article 4 has been moved and seconded. Mr. Ironman? Oh, I'm sorry. Select Board, do you have any comments? Administrator? Mr. Ironman?
Mr. Moderator, I'm Mark Ironman, the town planner. This ordinance amendment amends the site plan review ordinance to add a provision similar to what the town did in the subdivision ordinance a few years ago that allows code enforcement to retain outside assistance for the oversight of larger commercial projects or projects that involve significant construction activities.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 4? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor of Article 4? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 4 passes as written. Fine. Article 5. Shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Town's Ordinances to Comply with State Housing Law be enacted? This is recommended by the Select Board.
Second.
Okay. Select Board have any comments? Administration? Mr. Ironman?
I'm Mark Ironman, I'm still the town planner, and the state enacted an affordable housing law about 18 months ago now. The town currently has provisions that are essentially in compliance with the state law, but the proposed amendments would change the terminology used in the ordinance from accessory residential units to accessory dwelling units, and to clean up the standards for accessory dwelling units if someone wants to go forth and have one.
Thank you. Any other comments on or questions, discussion on Article 5? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? Thank you. Opposed? Okay, Article 5 passes as written. Article 6. Shall an ordinance entitled 2024 Amendments to the Basic Land Use Ordinance regarding conversion of an existing one-unit residential use to a 2-unit residential use be enacted? This is recommended by the Select Board.
Second.
Okay. Any comments? Okay, Mr. Ironman.
I'm Mark Ironman, the town planner, and I'm back. This ordinance amendment is put forward by the town's affordable housing working group that was created by the select board about 18 months ago. The ordinance allows only within the interior district, not in shoreline areas, an existing single-family home to be divided into 2 dwelling units as long as the number of bedrooms is not increased. So if you have an existing home with 4 bedrooms, it could be divided into 2 units, 2 2-bedroom units. And the purpose behind this is to really diversify the housing opportunities that are available in the community, but more importantly, to provide opportunities for residents who may own a larger single-family home, have a back house that was there, to be able to do something with that property other than sell it and have to move out of town.
Thank you. Any other discussion on Article 6? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of Article 6? Thank you, opposed? Okay, Article 6 passes as written. That's the end of the warrant articles. Thank everyone for coming out again this morning, and wish all the fathers out there a happy Father's Day tomorrow. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn. All those in favor of adjourning? Okay, opposed? Okay, we're adjourned.